Right.
Good evening, good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of Bike Chat. Jonah DiPasquale with you Thursday nights, 9 p.m., the place to be, your source for all things cycling related. Folks, you are in store for a great show. Very, very, very excited. We have Esi Grips on the line. Our CEO in the house, Gary Stewart, is going to be talking about all of the latest and greatest things going on with Esi Grips. You're going to learn a little story, and you need to pay attention because there are going to be surprises, giveaways come up. Other than that, I want to introduce my awesome co-host, Gunnar Soros. Gunnar hailing out of Rochester, Minnesota, amateur, again, professional cyclist, craft brewer extraordinaire, wholesaling guy, all-around good guy. Gunnar, my man, it's Thursday. It's Bike Chat. How are you? What's going on? We got there, a little extra Citra.
Extra Citra, yes. Surly Brewing.
I love it. I love it.
Nice.
Yes, I do. I got myself a little, bubbly here. It's doing good. We're doing good there. So we just, again, before we get to the main topic here, ESI, folks, we were talking about the Olympics and Rio and what's going on. But I do want to also remind you, as I said, show some love to your followers. Tweet this out, share it out. We've got Bike Chat Facebook page. Jump on that, give us a holler, and most importantly, pay attention, listening ears, and get those screenshots ready because ESI is ready to hook you up, and we've got some cool stuff to go. But again, back to that. So Rio, women's road course we were talking about, crazy sketchy, a lot of things going on, carnage, just some very interesting plays in character. I mean, Armstrong kind of really putting it all out there. I mean, what's your thought on that? I mean, I think just as a quick recap, crazy dangerous course or overzealous riders, or just UCI just kind of doing one of these things because it's the Olympics, or is it just Rio because it's Rio?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how tropical it is in Rio. I assume it's really tropical, but coming from riding bikes in Hawaii, some of the hills in the jungles are going to have areas that have moss on them. And so I think if you know that going into it, I would think that the UCI would kind of say, hey, let's at least do something to treat the roads, or let's come up with a different course.
Sure.
Because there's got to be dry areas around there. And because moss is a lot like the white lines on the road. Once it gets a little bit wet, then it really becomes terrible. I mean, you can't grip on that at all. So, I do think the UCI should have stepped in and made a safer course. I don't think that, some of the riders are probably a little overzealous, but it is the Olympics. I mean, you get a chance once every 4 years. You have more chances of for a lot of these riders to ride in the Tour de France than they do in racing in the Olympics. So, obviously the Tour de France is still a lot more prestigious, but that's how it goes. I don't know. I think it's got to be. It does ultimately fall on the UCI as far as making the course safe for riders.
Jonathan Perez, good question. Should the athletes create an athlete union to prevent these types of things? Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say there's an athlete union, but I know that there have been a number of influential athletes and riders that have done a lot. Like if you guys remember, Gunnar, you were really good about tweeting this out. We had some really gnarly, unnecessary accidents with motorcade. With support vehicles and things like that, which have significantly shaken up how at least the bigger stage races like the Tour de France are handled in terms of just logistical type things. And I hate to say this, but it's really unfortunate that sometimes some really catastrophic things need to happen before that light bulb goes off. A rider, a spectator, whatever. And, people sit there and say, maybe, should we think about this? And I mean, don't get me wrong. These are World Cup athletes. They are coming, from all around the world. You don't just, throw on Lycra and jump in the course and say, I'm here for the Olympics. there's a lot of I think, you know, pre-selection that goes into it. But I think, Gunnar, you are right. I do fault UCI. I mean, ultimately they are obviously to oversee the event, to provide a good event, but I think most importantly they need to be diligent enough to make that, call. And I mean, you have to think for a minute, like, was there not somebody on that committee that is an experienced enough rider or athlete or judge or anybody that could go, really hard, fast, right turn, shaded area, like what is, I just, to me, aside of the fact that even if maybe the rider was going a bit too fast, I mean, the one rider that literally just got high-sided and went right to the pavement, I mean, it was just like, oh my God, it was horrific. I mean, you hate to see that. I mean, and again, true, it is the Olympics, but I don't know. At any rate, I'm looking forward towards the BMX and looking towards the mountain biking. I think that's going to be really exciting as well.
Right. No, that's going to be exciting.
Sure.
That's for sure.
What do we got here? Jonathan
That's
Perez.
going to be a great race to watch.
Oh
yeah. Absolutely. Jonathan
Definitely.
Perez, Dirty Birdie called out the Giro a few years ago, and the next day, Movistar rider died after he went back over the switch. Yeah. No, I know it's sad. So, but so anyway, that's just the little bit of the rant on the Olympics, and as I said, we're looking forward to hopefully some other exciting again, things to come out of it as well. All right, folks, again, at this time in the show, we're going to move over to our good friends at ESI Grips. Check them out at esigrips.com. They're also on Facebook. They're on Instagram. They are on Twitter. I believe they are pretty much everywhere that you'd want to be in regards to social media. So without further ado, I would like to again introduce and give a very big bike chat welcome to the CEO of ESI Grips, none other than Gary Stewart. Gary, good evening, and my friend, welcome
good
to
evening.
Bike Chat. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and be a pleasure to share our company with you guys and our products, and answer questions and tell you guys about our company.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. This is where Gunnar and I are going to keep track of listener participation. Gunnar, my understanding is ESI has been nice enough to hook us up with some swag, so we're going to need to keep track of listener participation. Good grief. So again, Gunnar's no stranger to ESI. Gunnar kind of sort of turned me onto it. Gunnar, you're really big into it. You're supporting ESI. I see you get the banners on your blogs and stuff like that. That's awesome. So now we got the source. Gary, give the listener audience, a little bit of kind of that, that background. Like how did this concept come about in a sea of just OEM stuff where like anybody can go anywhere and buy a grip and just be like, ho hum, it is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. Just a little background and kind of tell you how it came about. ESI stands for Extreme Steering Inc. So we wanted to shorten that up. And what it came about was I was in road racing motorcycles. I've loved bicycling forever, ridden unicycles to grade school, and just had a passion for cycling. And in the 2 years of road racing motorcycles, they had steering stabilizers. Well, I thought it would be just a great idea to build one for mountain bikes. And in doing so, I have a couple of years of building it, getting a patent on it. All the testing I did, my hands were absolutely killing me with the hard rubber grips. When I take my hands off, you look at your hand and you either see a tread pattern or you see the company logo embossed in your palm. And it was just at a point where I was like, man, I got to do something different. And I had the classic bar ends on the handlebars. And my background was in aerospace. So I had some silicone material. It was big, chunky material. And I took that with a drywall knife, cut it off, stuck it on the end, and duct taped it on the end of my handlebars. Went to events, and here I've got this beautiful patented steering stabilizers in my mountain bike. And the only thing people noticed was those silicone grips. on my bar ends. And they go, "Where'd you get those?" I would buy those. Those are so comfortable.
Nice.
A couple years later, it took me a couple years to find the material and to finally get the exact product down that I thought would be good. And 19 years later, here we are.
Nice.
So that's kind of how it all came about. We start off with one product, and we kind of shelved that because it was a fun idea, but not something that was really viable, I think, in the mountain bike industry at the time. And then the grips have just slowly taken off and have been just a great experience ever since.
That's amazing. So aerospace. Now that all makes sense. That all makes sense. And now you said the motorcycle world. That's interesting. How long were you doing that? Now what was your involvement? You said you did that for a while.
Yeah, motorcycles, I did the actual road racing of motorcycles. Did it out here at Willow Springs out in California.
Nice.
And I did it for a couple of years and actually survived. I didn't hurt myself, thank you.
Nice.
And before that, I raced in the Hare and Hound Scrambles, dirt bike racing and the open desert racing out here.
Oh, wow.
And did that before that. And had some of the really nice fun RD 400 motorcycle, the old Yamaha two-stroke street bike, and raced an RZ 350 two-stroke, and it was just the funnest thing you'd ever want to do.
Nice. And now your grips, you're not, I mean, you're not necessarily just focusing in the cycling world. Are you still trying to focus that across the board? Like, for example, are you still selling to people that are in moto? Are you still selling to people that are in road racing and stuff like that? Is that still a viable customer?
In road racing, eventually, like to get into the dirt bikes and actually into road racing and the motorcycles, because the vibration dampening that you get in mountain biking and the road bikes on the street definitely correlates straight across into the motorcycles and motocross. And we do have people using them on their four-wheel like quads for actually for farms or for hunting, things like that. And we've crossed across into other industries also with our grips, besides just bicycling.
Nice. And looks like I got a question from Jonathan Perez. Jonathan, do the grips reverse or mute frequency like Zert's inserts? That was from John.
As far as like reversing, or is he referring to like you can turn them and put them in from one side to the other on the handlebars, or?
I think what he's talking about is how does it, the vibration damping, the old Zert's inserts actually did some sort of frequency damping.
Okay, the internal on the bar.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and so he's wondering, how, do the grips kind of work like that? I think.
Yeah, the actual, it's the cell structure. The cell structure of our material, the silicone. It dampens. It's a closed cell structure. So as you're riding, it basically does work as a cell or a closed area that does pick up vibration. And as that vibration comes up through your handlebars from either the road or the rocks and dirt, it compresses, but it doesn't compress all the way. It's got memory to it. So once it compresses, it comes back out. So it's like a shock absorbing, like a little barrier there for your hands. It's not like a hard surface as far as like a hard rubber grip or such as that type of a grip. That's just basically a hard surface that just transfers the road right back into your hand, into your arms. Ours makes that barrier, that cushion.
Right.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Jenna Greaser commented that she never wears gloves anymore, except when it gets cold, because the grips are so good. And I can second that. I've never been a fan of wearing gloves, and the ESI grips were the first grips that I could comfortably wear or use for long periods of time without my hands getting numb, without having to wear gloves.
Exactly. Yeah, they work really well without gloves. I've actually raced without them. I personally am somebody that does sweat, I think, more than most normal people. So I think that for me, I wear that thin barrier of glove just for more protection against my own sweat versus the grip not being able to hold on. And I've raced in them in full downpour rains. There was a race out here at Fontana that is kind of comical. I went through a turn. It was just nothing but mud, clay, and just soupy, and just went around a corner and just washed out on an off-camber downhill. And when I got up, one of my gloves, when I pulled my hands out of the mud, the glove was gone. And I was halfway through the race. So I had one glove and no glove. And it was kind of funny. A friend, Terry Martin, he always takes pictures at races. He showed me the picture. Full downpour, I'm soaked, and I've got one with no glove and one with a glove, and he goes, ESI is testing the grips in the rain with gloves or no gloves. So it's kind of funny. So it does, they do work just fine in wet conditions and everything also.
Yeah.
Good product marketing, that's for sure. Yeah, I will definitely agree. I mean, it's funny because, you know, the whole silicone grip really does, you know, buck that traditional mentality that you have to wear gloves. And, you know, like I've ridden mine a couple times. You know, it's like so habitual to wear gloves. And then when you actually do like ride gloves, you're just like, man, these things like your hands like literally stick to them, and the connect is amazing. So like I feel like to your point, it's almost like, you know, you don't want to wear the glove because it's like, to your point, it's like almost like the glove, you know, it inhibits that connect, you know, which really makes controlling the bike a lot easier. Same thing with sweaty hands. I can tell you that, like, longer rides, like 3-4 hour rides, like, you know, when you're just sweating, you know, and your gloves are literally soaked. I mean, that, you know, that definitely affects the handling with, you know, with some of the other manufacturer gloves that are out there. In fact, I've actually literally been on rides where I've taken my gloves off because my gloves were so wet. They were inhibiting the handling and the performance on my bike on a lot of the technical descents. I just didn't want my hands not be able to hold on to the grip. So that's just great.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then another thing with our grips also, if you do wear gloves, we definitely recommend that you have a glove that's just very, very thin, no padding, nothing at all. It's more of a protection for if you're crashing or if you just want a glove for contact on the grip, because the grip itself is your shock absorber and it is your contact point, and it does conform to your hand, where you get a nice feel for it, especially when you're climbing. You can pull into the grip and you can actually feel your fingers sinking in and actually getting traction. And then when you're descending, you can just lighten up, and it reduces your arm pump because you can lighten up on that grip because you know your hands aren't going to slip or move. So as you're going down and flying in through turns and stuff, you can relax more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Looks like Jonathan Perez, question: what is the lifespan of your grips? Good question. That's a good question right there, Gunnar. Right there. Good one.
Yeah, it's a good question. I can put a pair of grips on, say, my wife's bike, or some people I know. It could be the first and last pair that goes on that bike. I've actually have a pair of grips, and I have them in our backyard, and I just laid them out there. They've been there for about 10 years now. And I wash them, and they're still, you could put them on a bike right now and use them. So the lifespan, as far as how the material is to the environment, UV compared to foam or rubber, it doesn't deteriorate. As far as now wear, if somebody's real aggressive when they're riding, you know, some people will saw on their handlebars. Well, you know, when they're riding, they kind of move their hands a lot. They'll tend to maybe wear through them a lot faster. So you could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months, or you could be for years. It kind of depends upon your riding style. Another person, he gives me feedback. I think, you know, Osho, Johnny O'Mara. He's a pretty big mountain biker and an ex dirt bike champion also. But he gets anywhere between I think it was almost like 250, 300 hours on a set of grips. And he's an incredibly hard trainer and rider. And so that's, I mean, in hours, there it might give you an idea. Because some people ride, what, 2 to 5 hours a week. Well, those grips are going to last you a long time. And if you're 300 hours, it may last you only 3 or 4 months, depends upon how much, you know, you actually ride.
Nice. And also, in terms of the products that you guys offer, you do have, I think is it called the RCT wrap, right? So that would be for road bars as well. And I think it's reversible.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Gunnar. Good. Yeah, nice.
So
tell us a little bit about how that differentiates from like the standard, you know, I don't know, cork tape or whatever else is out there.
The big difference is, once again, it's silicone. So you're going to get that shock absorption that foam padding or cork and things is not. It doesn't have that cell structure to actually pick up the damping and the vibration once again. And the key is that ours is a wrap. It's not a actual tape that you actually have to have a tape backing to actually hold it onto itself and onto the bar. So once you put it on, you can actually take our wrap off, and you can redo it if you want, because it's not glued to itself or the bar, and you can actually reverse it. And I can show you, because I can show you guys here how that actually looks, just in case people out there haven't actually seen how the material is. I got a couple pieces here also, and I'll see if it comes up in the camera. You can kind of see that it's beveled one side and on the top and on the bottom. And when that is being wrapped, you'll have the actual other side. And these two bevels will match to each other. So when you wrap it, it lays up onto itself. And you do want to take our material, where on tape and stuff, they tell you, well, don't stretch it because it'll actually break. Ours, you actually do want to stretch the material so it has a really, really nice tight fit onto itself, onto your bar. So you actually we want you to actually stretch the material like that. So you will stretch it, so you can take and thin the material out, or you can leave it thicker so you can get a different feel on your bar. Down your drops, you can go tighter. And then when you come up across the top, up above where you're riding with your hands, you can leave it not quite as tight and thicker. So as you do take this and wrap it, you'll take it, and then it comes around, and the one bevel, sorry, it's hard to see probably on here, but the one bevel just kind of just lays up on the other.
Lays up over the other one. Nice.
Yeah. And Jonathan,
so,
sorry, go ahead.
So the thing about reusable, since it is opposing bevels, you can actually take that off, clean it, and reverse the ends of it, and then rewrap it so the inside is now the outside. And people love it for cyclocross, of course, because of the wet, the mud, and it's not going to come apart or anything during a race.
Yeah, that's pretty
awesome.
I mean, that's pretty serious stuff. I mean, I like I say, I'm impressed just because everything that you explained to me, like, I've experienced and I get it. And I'm like, I'm like, yep. I mean, I can't tell you how many countless times I've wrapped bars and have screwed up the wrap, or I got too tight. I had to peel it off. The adhesive peeled off.
Right.
Jonathan Perez had a great point. What are the best practices of securing it? Well, you know, some of the tape, you know, you got to do the traditional. Okay, well, I'll start it here at the top, so I gotta cut it on an angle so that when I wrap it, it's flat, and then I tape it, and then I gotta go from the top where the stem is all the way to the end, and I got to kind of cut it, and then, you know, kind of monkey around with it, and then stuff the cork in, and I mean, it's great.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it's like, for you to be able to stretch that, I mean, that's got to be a million times easier, not only to start it, but also to finish it, to put it into the end. And the other great thing about
Yep.
it is it's reusable. I mean, that's,
Right.
you're gonna get, it's almost like 2 for 1. You know what I mean? Ride one at one side
Right.
for the season or whatever, and then take it off, clean it, and put it on the other side. It's ingenious.
Right.
Right. And on the surface too, it's the same material all the way through.
Right.
So instead of just having your design on the outside, and you know what happens when you ride up by the hoods on top, you wear that down real quick, and the next thing you know, you're in through the padding on the inside.
Right.
Our material, it's the same all the way through. So you're just basically wearing the surface, but you still have that grip.
You still have a lot of
for
grip.
the whole. Yeah, it's got a lot of grip and a lot of life to it.
Well, and I love the fact that there's no adhesive backing to it, because when you remove, if you leave your bar wrap on for a long time, you go to change it and you pull off the old wrap, and especially cheaper bar wrap, but even the expensive, the Chinelli stuff, you pull it off and that sticky residue is stuck on your bars, and there's no way to get it off. I mean, you try Goo Gone, you can try kerosene, you can try all kinds of stuff to get it off, and it's like impossible. So now with this, you got clean bars under there. You don't have this tape, sticky, gross stuff under there.
Yep, and then I'll show you something else that really cool that comes with it, because you're talking about tape. Now everybody finishes off the ends of their tape with whatever provided by them in their kit, or I hate to say it, electrical tape in the bike shop, right?
Yes.
That's how you finish it, or they'll use electric tape around to hold your cables on. Well, in ours, we actually provide, it's an actual silicone tape. There's no glue, zero glue, and it stretches 300%. This material, when you put it on, it's a one-time use. So when you take it and you wrap it and you make contact to itself, and then I'll pull this off here, and this will stick to our silicone grips. In 2 minutes, this material will vulcanize to itself. There is no residue, and you can see that it's already now holding on. So this is what we've been using for our road grips forever. And this is what we finish it up on the top, up by the stem. And then once that's on, it's like I said, it's a one-time use. You just have to cut it off and then reapply it again. But we use this for the cables underneath your grips. We use this also for chainstays. We use it for GoPro mounts. I use it on cables running down from your brakes on your shocks. If you want to just put a small, you could take this and cut it in a small strip and just use a small strip around your frame or around your shock. So it's flexible, so it gives shock absorbing once again, but at the same time it'll hold whatever you want in place. So it's super versatile. And we have this also available in 10-foot rolls, and I think it's about 7 or 8 different colors. So it's something that's actually a really nice, we call it like a frame protection type of an element for your bike.
I've actually taken a couple pieces of that, and on my front fork where the cables come up from the frame to the handlebars, and I've actually put a couple pieces of tape there, and it actually works great. Because I've had a little bit of wear on the upper fork stanchions, and by putting that on there, the cable still rests there, but because there's something there and it's silicone, it actually does it's a great, just great stuff. I love it. Great stuff.
Yep, and it helps it from not wearing in through your frame if it's carbon fiber. Of course, these days with the bikes, a lot of carbon fiber out there. Anytime you got a cable or something that's every time you turn, it's sitting there, it's just rubbing a nice hole or a nice spot into your frame. And so this kind of helps that out a lot also.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And man, it's like the sky's the limit with you guys. And it's funny because, I mean, Gunnar, you'd never think that something this trivial could make such a significant impact on, the comfort, the convenience, the durability, and I mean, these are all huge You know, these are all huge pressure points that consumers experience, that shop owners experience, and like you say, is, you know, this is a minimal investment that will have that will have maximum results. You know,
Right.
I mean, the tape concept, you know, the grips, the longevity. You know, I think that all of these things, you know, are just incredibly brilliant, Gary. So I mean, I
Right.
just have to say, hats off. I mean, this is my eyes have
Oh,
been
thank you
opened up,
guys.
you know, and I think it's
Yeah, it's
exciting.
something. Yeah, it's just something that's simple, you know, and
Right.
but just so effective.
Well, hey, let's talk about so your grips. You know, what's really hot for some people, and I still get a lot of people asking me, oh, why don't you use lock-on grips? And you know, I absolutely hate lock-on grips. You know, the idea of having some metal screws right where I'm going to put my hands just always bothered me. And so when I saw your grips, I thought, oh, that's going to be perfect. But a lot of people still swear by lock-on grips, and yet I've never had a problem with my ESI grips slipping, you know, throttle twisting.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's true.
Do you guys get a lot of do you guys get a lot of feedback or question about the grip slipping? Or, I mean, because to me, I've never had the problem, so it doesn't seem like an issue to me. But you know, that's obviously probably something by design, as well as, you know, not having to have screws and metal things where your hands are.
Right. Yeah. It's I have the same thought as you. Like, you just can't stand having that lock ring in the end of your hand out there. After a couple hours of riding, that thing is just immensely sore and painful out there. Yeah, the lock on is an incredible design. It's a mechanic grip. It's a great idea for downhill. We're on and off for replacing parts, you know, and getting easy access to all your brakes and everything in a hurry. As far as comfort, shock absorption, and a good grip, ESI feels that the silicone grips are really the way to go, because you don't need that with our grip. We designed the grip to be a smaller ID than the handlebar on purpose. And people sometimes say, well, I think the hardest thing about ESI is to get the grips on the handlebar. And once you get them on, they're in love with them. It's the fight, I think, sometimes of putting the grip on, but once they're on, they're as happy as heck, and they do not spin, they do not move, whether it's raining, whether it's 10 degrees outside, 110 degrees outside, they're not going to move. We do have instances where people have come to races and they say, well, you know, the end of the grip is kind of spinning or moving, and we notice that the bar end has either been shoved all the way in the end of the handlebar or missing, and a lot of dirt there. And we go, well, have you know, crashed or something? And they go, yeah. And I go, okay. And you kind of look under the grip, and there's a whole bunch of dirt in there from their last geological survey they had with their mountain bike. And so we take the grip off, and we tell them, take it off, clean it, and get the inside, get the dirt all off, and then reinstall your grip back on, because you've gotten powder or dirt and gravel inside of there, and that's giving you a not clean surface for the grip to hold on to. So that's kind of where we get. Or if they had them on for a year or a year and a half, and they come over and they're starting to move, and I go, well, I think you need to get yourself a new pair of slippers on those handlebars, because those are kind of worn out now.
Right.
So usually it's those two instances.
Awesome. Jonathan Perez, again, hey, want to thank you for chiming in so much. Appreciate that. Jonathan, another question. He's talking about the ESI Custom Grips program. A few folks aren't familiar with that. You do have the capabilities to customize your ESI grips. Gary, you want to talk to the effect of the ESI Custom Grip program?
Yeah, we actually have where you can get, you can either make a 2 or 3 color grips. You can have any color you want on your inside, middle, or outside. And And we do offer that on our website, where you can actually go on there, and it was a custom grip builder, and you can go in there and actually pick what size grip you want, whether it's erasers or chunky, and then you can pick what 3 colors or 2 colors you'd like to have on your handlebars, so you can customize your grips then. So it's an actual nice feature, because people do that for their flags for their countries. They'll do it to match their kits on for their jerseys and for their teams, or they want to maybe bling it up even more for matching out their bike. And so it's a kind of a nice feature. And one thing people kind of ask too, they wonder if they're all separate pieces, or is it all, if it's one continuous piece but it's just different colors. And it is separate pieces that you will put on your handlebar.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I was actually wondering about that. I saw there was a couple recent Instagram posts and tweets that went out, and there were like red, white, and blue, and I thought that was really slick. I mean, I love the concept. B, I feel like in a sea of everything looking exactly the same, I think it's a fantastic concept. You know, I feel like most people take their time, you know, and pride in building up their ride, and they don't want it to be like their buddies' bikes. And you know, I also think it just makes for just great fodder when you're just hanging out, because you know, especially when I put the grips on my bike, everyone's like, ah, you know, like, you know, again, everybody's running the same black grips, and you know, you show up with, you know, these like funky turquoise grips. Everyone's like, oh man, those are really cool. And I'm just like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
and it's, I mean, it just, even just that in general, you know, is the fun part about cycling. It just gives, you know, it just gives you something to talk about, you know, on the trail or at the bar or wherever. But just, it's a great idea. And again, continuing to show that you guys are always on the cutting edge. I have a question.
Sure.
What about if or if, or have you, or maybe you don't want to just you know, again, disperse that information, but what if like a big vendor tapped you on the shoulder, like a Cannondale, a Giant, or you know, a Specialized or whoever, and said, hey, you know, we want to spec next year's team scalpel with these grips. I mean, would that be something that you'd be tooled for the capabilities of doing? Would you be interested in doing that, or would you take the stance of saying, hey, we want to continue to stay grassroots and continue on the pace that we're at now?
You know, definitely, we would definitely like to do that, and it would be nice to actually match out colors, you know, in the future with maybe some bikes that actually are coming up from the manufacturer. And we do actually spec out OE grips to many top mountain bike suppliers in the world right now. So when you do get your bike and receive it, you'll receive a set of ESI grips with it. So that's actually pretty nice. Yeah, so we do have quite a few major bike manufacturers that do that with us already right now.
Nice. Perfect. So
yeah, we would love to continue that. Yeah, sorry.
Well, go ahead. Wheelo Glenn Growler Bikes says that he's actually very interested in your grips for his bikes in the future.
Hey, Wheelo, come and see me. Give me a call. I actually do. I got a pair. I do have a pair for you. You got it. Check. See, Gary, I got you covered. Wheelo grips. Check.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. That's one off the list. Yep.
Yeah, seriously. No, I do have a pair. I got a nice swag bag from ESI. I do appreciate that. So I'll take care of that. So, but yeah, and that's but again, it's interesting. And Gary, you and I may have dovetailed in talking about this. Jonathan Perez again. Great participation, by the way, Jonathan. Thank you. He said, "Are you flattered or annoyed by companies like the Big Red as copying your grips?"
That's the question to me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's a pat on the back, number one. And for us, we're just doing what we always do. We're going to make the best grip. We're going to improve it all the time. We're always improving what we're doing right now. Our quality's top notch. And yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are coming on and trying to do the same thing, from matching colors, everything, but we're number one. We're the original. We feel we have the best, and we are going to continue to do that in the future. And that's just what our company's about. We're family owned. We've been doing this for 19 years. Our kids have been involved in it. Our family runs it. We love doing it, and we just have a passion for it. And that's something we're going to continue.
And the other thing too, I want to mention is that you guys are super accessible. You know, I feel like many companies that are out there, they're trying to sing the same song that you guys are, and it's, you know, tape recording, phone tree, voicemail, email. I was very flattered. I mean, just even from, you know, reaching out to, you know, Anastasia, talking to Maria, I mean, everybody very professional, very helpful. You guys were forthright with as many possible emails to ask as many questions, and I love that, because I mean, you guys embrace the perfect guest that we love having on Bike Chat, because I mean, we feel that, you know,
Thank you.
this is not only a manufacturer that gets it, but, you know, understands things from a 360 perspective in terms of being very professional, providing a very quality product. And I know, especially these days with a sea of so many different choices and OEM widgets that people could choose from, they really have no
Right.
reason. They have no reason to choose your product. But, you know, I feel like even that one day, you know, that you and I briefly kind of had like a little test blab to just sort of figure out if this was going to work, you know, I was really impressed how, not only how, you know, accessible you were, but, you know, how very down to earth, and, you know, the dialogue was between you and I. You're just like, yeah, great, I'm a CEO of a company. This is cool. It's live streaming. I'm into it. Let's give it a try. And I mean, for me, that means a lot. You know, Gunnar was super excited when I kind of, you know, said, hey, look, you know, I've been chatting with Gary and he's interested in coming on the show. So he was super pumped about it. But, you know, again, you know, very, very appreciative of your time, and just such a great product. I mean, I'm very happy that our paths cross, and, you know, anything that we can do to continue to help, you know, put the word out there. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I will definitely continue to, you know, send you guys praise on all our social platforms. And of course, you know, Gunnar, I guess there's a bunch of fans in here now. Jenna's in here. She's a huge fan, and some of the other people lurking in and out. But hey, by the way, if you're just jumping in, welcome to Bike Chat, this week's edition. We have a special guest, again, CEO of Esi Grips, Gary Stewart. Thanks for tuning in. If you're just catching this end of the show, no worries. You can watch it on replay. But as I said, tweet this out. And again, let your friends know how much you love Bike Chat. Give us a little follow on the Facebook page. But as I said, don't forget to give our guests some loving on social media. You can follow ESI on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and also check them out at esigrips.com. Just amazingly innovative products that are out there. And Gary just is as passionate as you possibly can be. Now, Gary, just a little bit of personal question. Are you still racing? Are you still competing? Are you out there on the circuit?
Yes, definitely. It's one thing that anytime we show, I have my bike there and I'm racing. So I'm a fairly fast sport racer, just kind of mid-pack probably, but I'm out there having a blast, rubbing elbows with everybody and having a good time. And you know, I love being out there on a bike. Like I said, my passion is cycling. If I get in a grumpy mood, wifey tells me, I think you better get on your bike and go for a ride. You need to go expand some energy, and I'm more than happy to oblige her. Yeah. I'm out there racing. I ride. I usually ride 2-3 hours on a Saturday, train a little during the week when there's time, and I just so enjoy going out and riding. And the whole thing too is whatever's on my bike is what you guys are going to get. So if I like it and I think it's good enough, then that's what you're going to get when you receive ESI grips. And if I don't like it, you won't ever have it.
Nice. Nice.
Excellent, excellent.
On that,
Well,
which model of grips do you use personally?
Right now, I'm actually using Racer's Edge Black right now. I love the Fit XE Black. That's our new like ergonomic style grip. I love that. And in improvements and everything that we do all the time with our product, I'm always going and testing what we're running. And the Racer's Edge, I've kind of fallen in love back with those grips again. And I've used everything, you know, all the different sizes. I've used them all. Yeah, between the Fit XE and the Racers, those are my two favorites.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. That is amazing. All right. Well, we are coming up to the top of the hour. Last 5 minutes, the 5-minute drill, as we always have. And again, folks, great show indeed. We're so glad you could join us for this week's edition of Bike Chat. CEO Gary Stewart of Esi Grips. And man, what a gunner. What a great show. I mean, it's like every week, it's like you get all this awesome knowledge of some of the great companies that are out there. Gary, what and I guess that the conversation is what's next? I mean, you guys are just clearly, you know, bringing to the table such a unique offering in an industry where there's just a sea of so many choices. You got any cards you want to tip or anything you want to tease about what's going on that you guys got coming down the pipeline?
Well, no, I'd have to take you guys out back if I gave you any information right now. So I can't do that. You're too far away. So we're always going to come out with new stuff, and we want to expand into other industries in the sporting industry also to let our grips help other people's hands in different sports. But mountain biking and cycling is our first, and it's our original. It's our passion, and where we started, and we're always going to improve stuff there. And yeah, there might be some new stuff coming. Just kind of keep your eyes open.
I love it. Hey, Anthony Bream chiming in. After a few minutes of riding, I get numb thumb and index finger on both hands. Any particular ESI model you'd recommend currently? He said he's currently riding the Chunky.
Okay, he's on Chunkies right now. It depends also, like I was saying earlier, if you have gloves that have a big pad inside of them, it might be something that you're putting an extra ball underneath your hand and kind of gets you that numbness going on. So I don't know if that's something that he has some padding in his glove. I would go to a thin glove. And then it may be it's too big because we have different sizes and stuff also. So it kind of depends. I don't know if he's has large hands. I don't know his what he's riding, if he's just riding for hours, if he's doing enduro or cross country. But yeah, usually the Chunkies are quite a great grip to get rid of hand numbness and stuff like that. But kind of depends upon the person's personal what he's doing with his bike, on which style to help out on. But
yeah, he's saying he has small hands and rides a single-speed mountain bike.
Okay, so single speed, so he's probably standing up, pulling all the time, and really wrenching on it and stuff also. And yeah, Chunky should usually work really, really well. It might, and if he's got small hands, maybe go to the Racers and give that a shot, where you have your hands not so big around that diameter, where if your hand's out so far, you can go a little bit thinner, a little smaller, and you're able to not have your hand maybe so big where you're trying to grab on. And single speed, you guys are kind of animals anyway. You guys are standing and pulling and powering all the time when you guys are pedaling. And if your grip's too big, that could be part of the problem.
Well, and Jonathan Perez has a interesting question too. He's saying, what's the craziest thing you've made from the material?
oh man, craziest. I've actually, well, it's kind of funny, but yeah, we kind of made a pretzel. Made it actually into a pretzel one time, so that was kind of funny. Yeah, nothing to do with actually grips or anything like that, but yeah. Yeah, made a pretzel.
Nice. That's awesome.
When Anastasia says teething toys too, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very funny because our granddaughter, both of them have come to our shop when Anastasia comes here for meetings, and if there's a pair of grips around, they actually they'll grab that and they'll hold it and they'll have that in their mouth and they're actually just chewing on it, and actually it's kind of bad, but what I'm going to say is they actually are drooling through the grip
through the tube
because they are just sitting there chewing on it so much. But yeah, they are a great teething ring. Yes, they are.
I believe.
And we use them for bumper pads on. We'll take the grip cut in half if it's worn out and put it on the corner of a table for grandbaby proofing your corners and stuff. And they work really good for bumpers for kids and things in their heads when they're toddlers.
That's awesome.
Geez.
That's awesome.
That's all right, folks, it is the top of the hour. And again, in respect to everybody's time, I do want to give a big thank you to those folks tuning in. Jonathan Perez, thank you so much. Wheelo, great to have you in the show. Gianna Greaser in the house. Tommy K, good to have you. Also, again, Shane Ilibari, good to see you. Anastasia, also is a pleasure to have you as well. Anthony Bream, thank you also for your participation. And looks like we also have Tim Robinson, family guy, mountain biker, boss of my own destiny. Nice.
Awesome.
Again, don't forget, jump over to esigrips.com. Give them some love. And they're also on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you want to find them on social media, you'll definitely find them as well. A big thank you to the CEO of ESI Grips, Gary Stewart. Gary, thank you so much for your time. It has been an amazing show. I've learned so much about your product, and I can say with that, there you go. I can say without a doubt, I am now a huge fan. I have the grips on my own mountain bike. I also have them on my 2-year-old toddler's balance bike, and he actually is a big fan as well. But other than that, you do have the last word. Is there anything else you want to kind of say to the Bike Chat audience tonight?
Yeah, well, thanks to you guys, both of you guys, for letting us come on and talk. And it was great talking with you guys and sharing, get a little history out there and talking and getting a face out there. It's kind of nice when you get a face to go along with your product that you're using. And the biggest thing is thanks to everybody out there, from grassroots, just trail riders, racers. Thanks so much for enjoying and actually choosing ESI grips. We love the fact that you guys are using them, and we're really proud to be able to be part of your fun experience and helping your ride be a better experience every time you go out.
Nice. And Gunnar, how about yourself, my man?
I got nothing other than, these have been the best grips that I've used. It's amazing that it takes kind of you got to think of it as just a simple connection from your hand to your bike. You don't need that logo imprinted on your hand to have extra traction. And like I said earlier, the whole idea of having to bolt grips onto your bars doesn't make sense to me. So something like ESI grips, where it's just simple, you slide it on with rubbing alcohol or whatever you have to get it on there, Windex, and then it stays on there so solid, and then it's just a nice comfortable connection to your bike. I mean, I will praise ESI grips for as long as I can, because I mean they've been great.
Nice.
Thank you.
There's a good testimonial. All right, folks. Well, until next week, as I said, my name is Johnny Bisquelli. You're tuning in to Bike Chat. We are looking forward to another great show next week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, be well, and we will see you out on the trail.